Right, full disclosure from the off. I was never into Auf Wiedersehen Pet when it was on originally. It just wasn't my thing. Don't know why. Each to their own. However, so many people have asked me to look into it, I had to give in eventually. So let's have a look and see what I found out about some of the cars from Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Auf Wiedersehen Pet ran for 40 episodes over 4 series, initially on ITV between 1983 and 1986. It then moved in 2002 to the BBC and ran for another 2 years until 2004. It was initially based around the story of 7 out-of-work builders going to West Germany to seek work. It would provide a real stepping stone of the career of actors such as Kevin Whatley, Jimmy Nail and Timothy Spall. Okay, we'll start off with Barry's bike. Now, this was a Triumph Bonneville T120 and registration number, I struggled on this one a bit, but with a bit of blowing up on this image I found, I managed to find out the registration number was DXE63J. Now, doing some searches on that one, looks like there's been no activity on that bike since 1983, no V5s, it hasn't been taxed. So I had to do a bit more digging on this one. Now remember, this bike appeared to have been destroyed in the fire at the end of the first series, but that was not the case. That was all done for TV. And in fact, according to the alf.pet.com website, who spoke to Timothy Spall's wife, Timothy had actually purchased this bike at the end of the series. Unfortunately, very shortly afterwards, he fell off it and broke his wrist. So he then sold it on to another actor called Tim Woodward, and he ended up actually having it stolen from his garden, and that, we believe, is the last that's heard of it. So that one, I'm afraid, has gone. Now, another car that I keep getting asked about is the Ford Zephyr driven by Oz. Now, this is a car which a lot of them use to get over to Germany, and was seen, of course, breaking down on the side of the motorway quite spectacularly. Now, XPL 339G unfortunately appears to have died fairly soon afterwards. There was, on the DVLA records, we've got nothing happening with it with regard to V5s, with regard to tax since 1983. So I think we can be fairly confident, I'm afraid, and I know this will be upsetting for a lot of you, that unfortunately Oz's car is dead. Now, another car that caused a lot of interest was Wayne's BMW. Now, of the cars from the main characters, this was the only one that seemed to be actually purchased in Germany. It was on German plates. The D refers to Dusseldorf, which is where the guys were working in Germany. And being on German plates, on the IMCDB website, someone comments they believe the car was left in Germany and sold over there to someone who didn't realise its significance and eventually scrapped it. Now, I think that's wrong for 2 reasons. One, here's a clip of Wayne arriving at Thornley Manor for the work they did on that building in Series 2. And the other thing is, and I think this is from the alf-pet.com website originally, is this advert for a number of the vehicles from the programme, which I think was from around about 85-86, once the final ITV series had been filmed, and within it is Wayne's BMW. So that was being sold over here. Now, after that, very much lost track of this car. The only thing I have found is that on awp.gav on X, formerly known as Twitter, is, as his profile picture, he's got obviously a collection of the items he's got from the programme, and in amongst it is the number plates from that car. So I am guessing that car has very much died, but I believe the plates have survived. After the loss of his bike at the end of Series 1, Barry moved into a Bedford HA van. For those who remember these, they were basically a Vauxhall Viva front end and a van back end. Now, this vehicle had the registration AEA735T, and a bit of research shows that at the time that was a fake registration number, which obviously makes tracking down the regional van really difficult. Now, the interesting thing was this came up for sale at the end of the series along with Wayne's BMW, all in the same advert. Now, there were rumours this van was around in the Nottinghamshire area in the late 80s and early 90s, but I can't find anything to back that up. But more recently, a van has appeared on the show scene, just like Barry's van, looking extremely shiny, so just maybe it's survived. But if we do some digging and have a look on My Car Check and have a look at plate changes, that van originally was KDC 686W, and in 2019 it had the registration changed to the one that was on Barry's van. Now, if we try and work out what's gone on here, we can go back to DVLA auctions where you can actually search plates that have been sold in the past, and this plate was actually sold AEA 735T back in June 2015, and it went for £200. So someone decided obviously to put two together, and okay, this van isn't the original, but I think it's a really fantastic tribute, so must trigger a lot of memories with a lot of people when they see it at shows. Another vehicle from the first series was the VW Type 2 Camper van, which is registration number CBE210K. Now, this came off the road back in about 1986 and really hasn't had any activity since then. I'm a little bit curious because in the pictures of the van during filming, the number plate spacing seemed a bit odd. Between the 2 and the 1 and the O, there seemed to be a slightly big gap. Now, that might have just been an error whoever put the plates together, but in the past, we've seen this actually being a way that people have modified number plates. Something's been removed or changed and so on. So, I don't know, but it's been registered like that since day one. It's had a new V5 though in 2020, so that suggests that vehicle is still alive, even though it's been off the road for a good nearly 40 years. So there is a possibility that one will be resurrected. In Series 2, a new character joined, and he was called Ali and drove a Jaguar XJ. Or in fact, he didn't. He actually drove a Daimler Sovereign, because the two cars have slightly different grills, even though the rest of the car is very similar. Now, the registration number of this was A735XBB, and when we go on to DVLA and do a check, it comes up as A1600cc Ford. So this was obviously a fake plate on the car at the time, and as we always do, we run into the problems with fake plates, because if we don't know the original, unfortunately it's virtually impossible to track the car down. So the last car I'm going to do is the Merc 450 SL, which Ali drove when he disappeared off to Spain. Now this car, I'm afraid, doesn't seem to have had much history. It was registration number OBA8M, and it was last taxed in 1992. Now, normally we'd think that was the end of the road. However, it did have a V5 issued in 2011, so there is a possibility that black Merc is still about. So, sorry, this hasn't been the most successful search. There are a few of them that are possibly still about, but I've done my best for you. So, obviously, if you know anything more, please let us know. And if you enjoyed this video, if you give that subscribe button a whack, we'd be really impressed. And maybe have a look at this video, which we think you're going to enjoy.